Steve Bannon, it's great to see you here this
Great to
evening.
see you. Love GB News.
Oh, thank you. And just talk to me a bit about the special relationship between the UK and the US. Where is that right now under the Starmer government, and where would you like it to be?
Well, obviously, I mean, a Labour government you're always going to have problems with, but we have a deeper relationship. I mean, come on, we fought as allies in 2 wars. First off, you're our mother country, right? We had to go through a revolution and then the War of 1812. But we've been great allies in the 20th century. There's a deep bond. I've lived in London for a while. I have so many friends. Nigel is such a known character here. Nigel's such a big part of the MAGA movement and really knows President Trump, so there's a real bond there. So regardless of political party, there's always going to be a deep bond between the United Kingdom and the United States. But with a Farage as Prime Minister, we'll go next level. And that's what, look, I've known Nigel now since about 2012, 2011, and because I saw, after when Andrew Breitbart died, I took over Breitbart. I was head of the news part, and I started really that time looking at a lot more European news than I did, and I saw all these videos from the European Parliament. I go, who is this guy? This is the most amazing speech I've ever seen, top of his head. So I actually went to London to start Breitbart London, and I hired James Delingpole. He had just left the Telegraph, and a little blogger named Raheem Kassam, and I met Nigel, and I would tour around with those guys, which was really kind of like the Tea Party at the time in the United States. Nigel would speak to small gatherings, I mean, 1/100th of what this is, and just was preaching the gospel of Britain and the English people getting their sovereignty back. And to me, that is the predicate really for the MAGA movement here, and the reason Brexit was the predicate for President Trump's victory in 2016.
So specifically about this weekend, obviously there's an amazing mood here in Washington for people who are pro-Donald Trump. This is an exciting time. There's also concern that there might be protests against those people who are not happy about Donald Trump having won this election. Do you think there's going to be much trouble on Monday?
Well, there won't be as much as there was in 2016. In 2016, this city was like an armed camp. I mean, I was the #2 guy in the White House with Reince, and the whole city was barricaded. It was very tough for us to get around. So it certainly won't be that bad. But this is the United States. You're going to have protests. I mean, I have no problem with people out there protesting, having their First Amendment rights. Here's what I think is more important, is that this past week we just had the confirmations of the first wave of the cabinet officers. And we're laying out a whole new philosophy from the State Department to Treasury to Defense, and there was really no pushback by the Democrats. They really are more broken than they've ever been before, and it's quite unusual. If you see where the world is going, you really understand the opportunity the Tories blew, because Starmer and the Labour government kind of stick out like a sore thumb when you look at what's happening in Germany, you see what's happening in France, see in Italy, see in Spain, you see in Canada, the United States. So right now there's a huge mood of, we've come back, this MAGA movement and President Trump, we're battle hardened, because after they stole the 2020 election, in 2021, that was a very dark year. This group came together, fought together, and now we just had one of the biggest victories in American history.
Is it over-exaggerating to say that this doesn't just feel like a political shift across the world? It's almost a kind of spiritual shift across the world. There's something significant happening right now.
Very much so. It's at a very deep level, and I think that is people realize that we have to have self-governance. We've tried for decade after decade after World War II to have these macro organizations and kind of what I call the globalists that have come together to kind of run people's lives. And now you've got technology. Technology at one point throughout history has freed man. Now you have technologies trying to dominate man with the social media and the algorithm, kind of ruled by algorithm. You're seeing people rejecting that, whether it's in Italy, whether it's in Spain, whether it's in parts of England and the United States. And I think that's where you're seeing coming together leaders like Trump to have a kind of Trumpian attitude, right? Whether it's in Canada, whether it's Nigel in the UK. So there's something definitely working, and it's kind of working in coordination.
And that explains where you and Trump maybe disagree, which is on your opinion of Elon Musk. Because you've been very vocal about the fact that you don't think he's necessarily going to be on the right side of history.
Well, they're a techno-feudalist, right? But my specific beef comes from two incidents of what happened about the H-1B visas. But after we beat him in that debate, and he kind of said, I'll fight you on every hill, F you in the face, I'm going to fight everywhere. after I proved that he didn't know the facts and that these things is just a scam to bring in cheap labor, foreign labor against American citizens, he immediately pivoted to Rothenberg and Tommy Robbins is something we've worked on for 10 years. I'd just given an interview for Tommy's channel, and he wanted to change the conversation. And to turn on Nigel, Nigel has done so much work and so much in the trenches labor. For him to come in and do it, I just said, this is not going to happen, right? But I will tell people in Europe that with his money and his social media platform, they're the two tactical nuclear weapons of modern politics. There's not a centrist government in Europe that would withstand the onslaught if he went in, because he wrote a $250 million check for President Trump in 5 months. That's never been done in American history, and we're awash in money in the U.S. So no, he's going to have a role. I think once I convince him to be a populist nationalist and not a techno-feudalist globalist, we'll be fine. But I'm not backing down 1 inch. Hell, I just got out of prison. I'm certainly not going to back down for Elon Musk.
Okay, have a great weekend.
Thank you.
And look forward to
guys
seeing you
for
on
coming.
Monday. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks.
So, only 2 days remain until Donald Trump is sworn in as the 47th President of the United States. But with temperatures in the nation's capital expected to drop to a minus 13 degrees, the swearing-in ceremony has been moved indoors, breaking with tradition. Joining us from Washington, D.C. to discuss this now is Chairman of Republican Overseas UK, Greg Swenson. Greg, thank you very much for joining. You're the reason we're talking about snowballs, by the way, young man. Greg, thank you for joining us. Right, how excited are you? Is it, woo, couple of days to go?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. There's a lot of optimism in this town right now. American flags flying everywhere. So it's a real sense of optimism, excitement. Great party last night. British American function put on by a couple of Brits, and it was really great time. Good turnout from the UK.
Yeah, and while we've got it up on screen, that is Trump's official inauguration, our portrait there. What do you make of that, Greg? You happy with that?
Yeah, I think that the president has a funny way of delivering with his photographs, and I think that one kind of looks like a little bit like the mugshot when back in the summer of 22, which went completely viral and actually helped him in the polls. I mean, he was the one who released it himself as soon as it was taken. So. No, it's there's a real, as I said, there's a real sense of excitement and optimism.
It has to be said. You can see them both now, and there is a similarity. Yeah. It has to be said.
Absolutely.
So, Greg, just give us a quick run through of what's happening this weekend. We know the big day is obviously on Monday, indoors for a change because the weather's so bad.
Yeah, they had to do it. It is going to be really frigid here in Washington. Just maybe even 5 degrees Fahrenheit. I can't do my math right now, Dawn, on Celsius, but record temperature. So I think it was the right move. We expect snow tomorrow, so that's going to make it even more miserable. So I think it was the right move. The Capitol's a beautiful place to have.
Greg, thank you.
It's a really great setting.
Greg, we're running out of time, unfortunately. I'll let you get back to your snowballs. Introduce them to the great American public. That's Chairman of Republicans Overseas UK. Greg Swenson, thank you very much for joining us.